second.
My grades from high school would tell you I spoke it, but not well.
You did? Really? So you
did.
spoke it enough to get to pass?
Enough to pass. Absolutely, yeah. We
Right.
passed. Yeah.
And what school was this at?
So actually, I'm really glad we're on Freret Street. So Lusher Charter School.
You went
where I
to Lusher.
school
right.
before Katrina, and then Loyola for college.
Right.
So I love Freret Street.
And you earned a degree in journalism, it says in my extensive research.
That is correct.
And you've never used it, or you are using it?
Never used it.
What a waste of a great degree.
I know, right?
In journalism.
I sell hot dogs, actually.
You sell hot dogs for a
Yeah.
living?
Yeah, I sell hot dogs for Dat Dog and sell hot dog buildings, actually, since we just started franchising. So,
Well-
yeah, but hopefully one day, my dad played in the NFL, so I would love to do some sports reporting one day, for sure.
Is your dad playing in the NFL good enough to get you in to be a sports reporter? And a degree from Loyola, of course.
Hopefully. We'll see if
What
he
did
still's
he-
got some pull. I'm not sure.
What position did he play?
Safety.
What's that? You guys know anything about football, Jack?
It's actually a running joke that I know absolutely nothing about football.
It's not that funny.
No,
It's pretty serious situation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's sort of sad and tragic, but I know nothing about football.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
You heard of the Saints?
Yes.
Did you have to be involved with the whole Saints mania here in 2000?
I
Whatever
actually
it was?
did. I actually wrote some songs for the Saints, and
What?
So it was. So
What did you write?
I wrote a.
Who dat?
No, I wrote a song called "March On" that.
Okay, you're gonna have to play it. You have a guitar in your hand.
What's so funny is that I don't even remember how to play it. I wrote it 3 or 4 years ago. I won a telly for it and everything, but I don't. Me and a guy named Joe Cook and Shane Terrio wrote it, and it was so funny because, like I said, I knew absolutely nothing about sports, and they picked me to write the sports song.
How'd they pick you? From
It just it was actually really came through a guy named Joe Cook who was affiliated with Fox, and he's the one who brought it to us, and he was a sort of. He was a producer, but he's an aspiring musician, and he sort of had the germ of the idea, and me and Shane sort of finished it.
How do you get a job producing songs for the Saints if you're just an aspiring whatever?
Well, because when you're the producer at Fox,
he was a producer at.
Right.
And what's his name owns Fox? What is his name?
Tom Benson.
Tom Benson.
Yeah.
Thank
Right.
you, Jerry. Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So that sounded pretty sports reportery, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The way you say Tom Benson.
that was a good delivery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Say it again.
Tom Benson, baby.
Pretty good. Okay, so Tom Benson owns Fox, so the guy's a producer at Fox, and he says, "Hey Tom, I could write a song about the Saints."
It's probably something
And it's
something
free,
like that.
probably if you're already working there, right? So
No, we did all right, and I think he did. I think he did too. I mean, there's budget for everything. You know, I'm past the days of free. You know.
did you get good royalties from the Saints song? What was it called again?
It was called March On.
I have to write that down.
Mark Broussard was the singer on it, and we sort of put the whole thing together. We had a brass band, and everything was great.
Funnily enough, it is March right now, but you don't have any idea how it went. I'm going to hypnotize you.
I know,
and make you go.
Sort of, but I'm not good enough to sing it.
Oh, really? You couldn't even play a bit of it?
You don't want me to play a bit of it.
Do we or not, Rebecca? Do you want to hear a bit of it?
No, it's a Saints song.
Are you a football fan, Rebecca?
It's up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk him into it though. I don't think so. Are you a football fan, Rebecca?
I'm a Saints fan.
Well, that's the same thing. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of.
Have you given up watching it now? Nobody even wears their Saints outfit anymore. Have you noticed that? Used to go to the supermarket on a Sunday morning and everybody would be in their Saints clothes.
Absolutely.
Now nobody at all.
Every restaurant in town,
Yeah.
all the waiters and waitresses, they're wearing their Saints
Right.
jerseys. You know, it's the day to be out of uniform.
What is that
Right.
called? What is that called? Fair weather fans? Is that what that's called?
Yeah, I guess so. I think if you lose for long enough, people just give up caring.
But New Orleanians will love, but we didn't blow a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. I just got to throw that out there. Like those Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons. That's right.
If we're going to talk about the Saints, we got to shit on the Falcons too,
It
right?
was 28-3.
28-3, and
Wow.
I got on a plane. I was in Los Angeles coming back, and I landed to watch the Falcons win. You know, I thought they would win. There's no way somebody blows a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl, and I landed, and the pilot announced it over the loudspeaker, and everybody in New Orleans was just like, God damn it. It was great.
So you missed the Lady Gaga halftime?
I did miss
that
Lady
was
Gaga.
Awesome. Did you see
Yeah.
that, you guys?
I missed it too.
I didn't.
You didn't see Lady Gaga at halftime? Well, you have to Google that. I'm sure it's on.
Yeah.
That's worth seeing.
Yeah,
Really?
no,
Isn't it?
she's a great performer.
She's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love her too. She's great.
She is great. That was an awesome performance. I can't believe nobody. No one at the table saw Lady Gaga at halftime except me, and I'm the last person you'd expect actually. come to think of it. What were you doing on the Super Bowl day, Rebecca, that you were too busy to watch?
I'm trying to remember
It was
right
a
now.
Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was nighttime.
Usually it's on a Sunday.
Yeah, and it was night. I remember that much. as
It was
well.
nighttime.
What do you do on a Sunday night typically?
There's no typical. Something different every time.
Every Sunday?
Yeah.
You've never
pretty
done
much.
the same thing twice?
Well, not that I've never done it.
You have eggs on toast or anything like that?
No, probably not.
Not usually.
No, but I don't have TV, so I remember that I was maybe going to try to go somewhere and watch it, and then I think I just did something else instead.
Yeah, if you don't have a TV, you really don't get around to going somewhere else to watch it, unless you're really, go
Yeah.
to a sports bar or something like that. But no.
Unless you're like making a point to go to a party or
Yeah.
friend.
And who really wants to do that?
Well,
What do
if
you-
it's not the Saints, then
Right. Well, what do you do most nights then?
all kinds of things.
Like what?
Meet friends for a drink, go out to dinner,
Right.
watch
You
a
don't work-
documentary.
You don't work at night?
I work at night sometimes.
You do?
Yeah. If I'm on a deadline, then I don't like to work at night because I'm a painter, so
Right.
it's nice to paint in natural light.
Oh, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Good point. So you have to. So
I have to
daylight
sit-
savings is good for you then.
I love this time of year.
Yeah, because you can
Yeah.
stay up till you can work till 9 or something. I guess.
Yeah, at least till 7:30. Yeah.
Right.
But
When do you start drinking?
well, after that.
After. You don't start in the middle of the day. Even though you can.
Well, I
Because you work
could.
for yourself.
Well, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
But
But you don't. That's you've got a lot of self-restraint. It says here you're an artist who makes original paintings and prints for sale on your own website,
yes.
which is groovy. And you also paint commissions that you call family tree paintings. What does
Yes.
that mean?
So it's a 4 foot by 6 foot painting done on commission for a family.
4 feet by 6 feet. Anyone know what that looks like?
Big.
You got the sense on that? That's big.
It's like as tall as
See
a person.
that Wayfair sign? Tall as a person. It's 6 feet tall.
6 feet tall.
And 4 feet wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
So you're 6 feet, Jerry?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's as big as you.
About that with my arms out.
That's 4 feet. Oh, that's big.
It's a little wider,
Okay,
yeah.
that's pretty big.
and essentially
That's
the
it.
subject matter is a tree, and there's objects and things in the tree and a composition that all act as metaphors for the human experience. So
It's like the tree of life.
sort of like the tree of life, but it's specific for a family. So I fly to a family anywhere they are in the world, and I meet with them, hang out with them, get to know their stories, and then I go back to my studio and I make a sketch that captures their stories, traditions, values, all of that in visual metaphor.
So it's a tree with things in the tree, like a partridge in a pear tree type.
Totally, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And what sort of things would be in a tree? I mean, Like-
all sorts of things.
family heirloom type things, or faces, or
It's not really faces. There's no portraiture, so it's things that represent things. So,
Okay.
let's say they spent a lot of time in Asia. I might include a bird that's only found in Asia. Or if they like rock climbing, well, then I figure out where they like rock climbing and what particular type of flower grows along those rocky cliffs where they like to climb, and I would include that flower.
wow.
I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
I've traveled a lot domestically, but internationally, what is your favorite place that you have gone to do one of those?
Well, I had I don't know. It's mostly domestic as well. I did have a family in Scotland once, but I'm a big fan of France and Italy just in general, but I haven't gotten families there yet, so there's still
You need to
hope.
speak French better than
I do.
you do, otherwise
And
you're not gonna
Italian.
and Italian.
Yeah. Parle Italiano.
Well, maybe some people speak English in those places that would have. How much are we talking about? What does it cost us to get this painting done? Plus your airfare, I know.
Well, I'd rather not say on the
Oh,
air.
really?
Yeah.
Should we take a stab at it?
Do you actually have to go to the location to do the research, or do you just research it on your own?
I mostly just do the research through the family visit.
I see.
Yeah, and then I do research online
Gotcha.
if it's beyond that. Yeah.
I didn't know if it required you to actually go to a
All
foreign,
the
right? A foreign,
places,
right?
yeah.
I have to go to Belgium for the weekend to like research. You know.
I wish. One day we'll get to that level.
Do people find out about you from just online? They just stumble on across
Yeah,
you,
mostly
or
online.
Do you market it?
And word of mouth. It's mostly a natural kind of marketing where people
Right.
share what they love, and then people see that, and it's kind of contagious in that way.
You could do one for Jack's family and put his Tally Award in there, because I don't know what that is. What is a Tally Award that you won?
A Telly Award is like It's for TV excellence. It's like it's not for a TV show like an Emmy. It's for promos, advertising, things like that. It's almost like
Okay.
an Addy Award, but it's for TV excellence. It's whereas an Addy Award there's just like the Emmys or the Grammys or whatever. There's nominations and nominees, and then there's one winner. Whereas at Telly, a bunch of people can win every year, and so
And
that's
who gives that out?
the Telly Society. I think
Telly.
it's tellyaward.com or Telly.
Telly Savalas, remember?
Right.
So you've actually won a Grammy
I have.
and an Emmy,
Yes.
and been nominated for an Academy Award as well.
Well, I haven't been nominated for Academy. I was on
Well,
I was
it
on
says right
I was on a team that was nominated for Academy.
That's the
Award.
same thing.
Well, sort of.
No
Isn't
I in
it?
team, baby. No I in team.
Right.
You know?
Right, there you
I love
go.
it.
So,
I love
If you're on the team that was nominated for an Academy Award, aren't you part of the team that would have won it?
yeah, I guess
you
so.
won.
But,
So
but
how-
I didn't go to the Oscars, if that's what you're asking me.
No, I wasn't going to ask you that. 'Cause
So-
where were they? Oh, that was in Hollywood.
Right. I mean, but like for the Grammys,
What was the movie?
The movie was The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I did a bunch of the ADR, which is ADR is like the dialogue that gets dubbed in after the fact, and the whole sound department got nominated for an Oscar.
What did you do for that? You were doing sound recording?
Sound recording. I was an engineer. I basically for parts of the movie where the dialogue might not be up to snuff, they have to get the actors to come in and to talk and sing or whatever happens in the movie, and then they fly that in to the movie on top of it.
So that's what you were doing, recording actors doing other lines.
Yeah.
And is the director there for that?
Yeah,
Director?
I got to work with David Fincher on it.
Hey, that's cool.
That's
So who did
amazing.
yeah. So who was there? All these.
It was David
Brad
Fincher.
Pitt?
It was Mark Weingarten, who was he was like the head of sound design. A guy named Aaron Zeller, who was also on the team. I met some really great people, but there was like an entourage. I mean, but
I thought you would have been one of these guys that go up, when they say all these names. Aaron Zeller, or so and so.
Actually, Aaron did get called out at the Oscars, but I didn't. I didn't do nearly as much work as he did. I mean, that guy worked for months on it. I worked for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So, but to work with David was amazing. It was just me and him at the console, elbow to elbow. With everybody behind us working on the stuff. So it was great.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty cool gig.
he's one of my top 10 favorite directors of all time.
Yeah, it is good.
Talented and modest. That's meeting people at a bar in New Orleans, man. I love
That's
it.
right.
I love
Well,
it.
everybody. Well,
Love it.
people would be shocked to find out all the things that Jack. Look at all the things here, just written down here that he's done. Worked on all kinds of TV shows, including. Shall I just read some of them?
Oh, I see ESPN. Is that my in to sports journalism right there?
Have you worked for ESPN?
Man.
I have. We did a bunch of. It was me and Shane Terrio from Hall & Oates, the guitar player, and Tom Drummond from Better Than Ezra. We did a bunch of cues. Cues are like music cues for the station. They basically call us up and say, we need 15 cues that sound like this. And we get in the studio and we write them and we record them and mix them and crank them out and sell them to ESPN, and they use them wherever they want. So that's basically I get a bunch of accounts like that.
That's a pretty
God,
cool
man,
gig,
that's
isn't it?
awesome.
I know you never know who you're talking to in New Orleans,
I
right?
know,
That's what I'm
I
telling
love
you.
it.
You never know who's
I
going to
think
be
it's
sitting
time for
next
another
to you.
drink, and I think
Time
Jack
to.
needs another-
Well, Graham
another
can hook
drink,
us up if you like, or Nathan can get you a drink, whatever you'd like. Yeah.
Hello.
This is our
Jerry,
producer,
nice
Graham
to
DePonte.
meet you. We just make so many friends here in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So, but Jack, as famous as he is, I bet most people in New Orleans know you for your star role in the Molly Ringwalds as the guitar player.
I do play with the Mollies for 17 years now.
I know.
So-
So you guys all wear different things every show, so it's hard to tell who's who. But you're the guy dressed as the guy from Devo.
That's correct.
Right. So your name is Randy Wild.
That's
From
correct.
the band. That's what I.
We
figured.
try not to take it too seriously. I mean, we
kidding.
basically we have a good time. It's been something that we've been doing since I was 23 years old or something. And,
But the funny thing is, the band is really good.
no, the band is
That's,
great.
That's the funny part about it.
Everybody in that band, and here's the modesty really from my other guys, but everybody in that band is a serious player. Like there's no joking around when it comes to the musical end of it. Like everybody is like a serious, studied player who really takes it seriously as far as like their musicianship.
And who
is concerned.
cares who gets the credit if you're going to win anyways, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not about I
Right.
need to toot my own horn and,
Right.
you know.
The
and
thing
that's
is
great.
that what's great about that band is that not only is it a great set of musicians, but we're performers too. I mean, it's a lot of.
What are you doing that for? Just for fun or for the money?
Oh,
or?
hell no, for the money. I mean,
Just for-
we started it. I mean, well, we started it as like an idea, and it. What ended up happening? I'll give you the very quick version. The quick version
Well, we have
was that.
plenty of time, actually, if the long version's better.
Well, I don't want to ostracize anybody else from the conversation.
We can just interrupt you.
There was an original band that was involved, and what happened was that the original idea was to do the cover band. We noticed that the cover bands were making all the money, so we wanted our original band to succeed. And what does a band need to succeed? It needs money, you know.
Right.
So we said, let's start a cover band and finance the original band with the cover band. So we basically took. There was an imaginary back then. We only had 4 members in the band, so it was an imaginary 5th member of the band, and that member got put straight into the original band. Advertising, press shots. We had the best
That's
of everything.
great, man.
So we were making some decent money, and then the original band folded up, and we didn't. Some of the guys left, and we got some new members in. But the cover band had already sold out House of Blues numerous times, and like we had this big following. Like, well, we're not just going to fold this shit in, are
Right.
we? Like, so
Absolutely.
we kept going, and it got bigger than we ever could have imagined. And so at this age, I'm 40 now. At this age. When you're traveling all over the country every week, it's definitely harder. We all have families. We all, but you don't, if you're the CEO of Walmart, you don't just fold it up because you don't
Right.
feel like doing it. I still love playing with those guys and still love doing the part. I just feel like, it would have been awesome to be able to go to Germany when I was 30, not when I was,
Right.
39.
So you're touring,
Right.
touring all over the world with this band, even though it's kind of a joke, actually.
It's not a joke. It really isn't.
Oh, I'll take that back. Okay.
No. I mean-
Rebecca, that's not funny.
No. Like when I say, see, all right. So now I'm going to back up. There's the.
It's so meta. It's a joke that's not a joke.
Oh, right. It's
Okay.
like it's sort of like we don't treat it as a joke. We're very serious about it, but at the same time, we don't want to take it so seriously that we get offended by it. We understand that we look. We're dressed up in costumes and we're dressed up and we're playing a part. But at the same time, it would be like if you were in Blue Man Group, would that be considered a joke? So
Well,
that-
what are they? No, I think they're pretty serious about what they're doing.
well, they are, but they are, I'm sure, but
They're
they,
taking themselves very seriously.
But they-
you don't appear to be taking yourself seriously at all. You appear to be sending up the rock and roll you're playing.
Aha, that's the trick, though, right?
yeah, I mean,
That's why
it's-
you have to be
I think
like
it's-
super good to be a clown.
It's the
basically.
balance between the two, though. You
Right.
don't want to take yourselves too seriously, but at the same time, you want people to know we give a shit about this.
Right.
You know?
We
It's-
and
it's both of
anybody
those.
who's seen our show knows we give a shit. So
Right.
Well, it's good.
I guess what I'm trying to say is
yeah.
that when I say don't take ourselves too seriously, I mean like we don't take ourselves too seriously as in we understand the tongue-in-cheek aspect of it, but it is a serious organization. It's a serious business,
Right.
and to some of the members of the band, it's their entire income. And
Oh, so people can make a living.
a living, we make a very good living.
Wow.
A
okay.
very good living.
You can totally afford one of these family tree paintings then.
So-
Even though we don't know how much it costs.
The band,
Yeah.
the band. I mean, let's put it like this: the band has got. We have an accountant, we have an agent, we have an attorney, we have a 7 or 8 person road crew, we have semi trucks, we have.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's
You have a real
That's serious
operation.
business.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea.
yeah.
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
we
I
have
thought you guys got together here and there once in a while and
We,
played.
we play over 100 shows a year, and
Shit, are you kidding?
and,
You're playing
uh,
twice a week. Would you like a glass of wine, by the way?
sure,
is that?
The Malbec. That'd be great.
You're playing 2 shows a week at least.
At least.
Every.
In the New Orleans area? Or
No,
are you're all over the place?
That's what I
place.
thought. I hardly ever see you here, but I know you're,
That's
you're
what
touring the whole time.
Well, that's what happened is that
I had
we.
no idea.
Crazy.
We
isn't it?
got big here. We really got big in Baton Rouge first. That is the
You
first.
know you've really made it if you're
Well, that's the first
Baton
crowd.
part of the Baton Rouge.
Well, that's the crowd.
Colin
that,
Baton
That's where the that's where the
Make
good taste
t-shirts.
is.
We're big in Baton Rouge.
that was the first crowd to really quote unquote get it.
Right, right.
And
That's interesting.
it became like the party band thing. But then it sort of transcended that, where yes, we were the party band. I got drunk and were acting a fool. But then it became like more Vegas, where it became big screens, multimedia. We have like a lighting person, a separate lighting person, a separate cameraman, separate video person, separate. We have a whole bunch of people on a payroll that are all dependent on us
Succeeding.
Yeah.
Right. No
So-
business
No
like
idea.
show business, baby.
Yeah. So
I love it.
who's your manager?
Showbiz.
It's a Scanny Management Group, which is we were represented by APA out of Nashville, and then we switched agencies a couple of years ago to Scanny Management Group, AMS Management Group. I think they're out of New Orleans or Covington maybe, but that's where their home base is. But they,
So you could conceivably dump everything else you're doing in your life and
I
just
did
do
for a
them.
long time. I actually only started engineering and producing because I only had to be available on the weekends, really. I mean, and at the time, and also I wanted to record my own music,
Right.
and so I started guinea pigging my skills to other people so that so I could get good at it. And then I started getting so good at it that the phone kept ringing over and over. And then I became infinitely busy. Is what happened. Now I've owned 4 studios in the last 15 years.
Are you talented in other things? You might just be one of these guys who can do anything. Are you like a genius? Did you do well in school as well?
I did okay in school. I'm good with art. Like, I mean, I'm probably not as good as you
That's
are.
Rebecca. Rebecca's really good.
I mean,
Different disciplines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different
Absolutely.
mediums.
How did you get to be so good at what you're doing, Rebecca? Because your stuff is very whimsical, and I think there's no human beings in your paintings at all.
No, just things that represent human beings. But that's the trick. That's what it's all about. Like, I'm a naturalist as a painter, but I care much more about humans than I do about birds or other things.
But all your paintings are birds and other things.
That's right. So
Why would that be?
they are giving you the human experience better than a human can.
Wow.
Because as soon as you put a human in, it's one person. So
Right.
you say, that's not me. But if it's a bird in a certain position or a tree with a certain proudness, then you say, I feel like that sometimes.
I think when a human looks at another human, the judgments come out. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And so when you have
Right.
those,
You can
those
read my mind.
other,
I'm looking at you right
birds
now.
or there you go. We're locked in right here. It opens people up to interpretation, and it lets their mind run a little bit further than they would looking at another human, which I
Absolutely.
think is great.
Would you
I
think?
love it.
Do you think that people think things when they look at your paintings, or they feel things?
I think they feel things, yeah. I think that they feel things that they don't even know how to say, and that's what has made them successful, which isn't even something I did on purpose. It just sort of
Yeah, right.
happened, yeah.
Well, you're not painting stuff that so people will like it, or are you?
No, I'm painting motivated by a personal experience. So, but it just so happens that most experiences are universal, right? So, if I've had heartbreak, other people have had heartbreak. They see whatever I've painted and think, "Oh, this explains."
Is that what
how I-"
motivates you as a painter mostly? Heartbreak?
There's a good bit of heartbreak in there, but there's also a good bit of joy too. Just actually impermanence motivates me a lot. Yeah, yeah, like no emotion is final, right? So
Absolutely.
That's a good way of putting it. No emotion is final. I'm going to write that down too. That's a hard lesson. That's a hard lesson to learn, actually.
yes,
That might be one of the hardest lessons in life to learn, that what you're going through now is going to disappear eventually.
it's going to change.
No matter how good it is
Right.
or
I
I
how
don't think
bad
it's hard
it
to
is.
learn because I think people know that. I think people don't accept it because they want to sometimes control their own destiny, and whether you're faithful or whatever it is that makes you believe what you believe.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just not left up to you.
But don't you think?
know?
Yeah, but most of the time when you have a feeling that something's gone really wrong, you think it's never going to go right again, don't you think?
Agreed.
It just feels like this is just hopeless.
But does it eventually?
No, but of course it always,
Yeah.
that's what you're saying, no
Always
emotion
does.
is final.
Right.
But I think it's really hard when you're having a bad time, isn't it, to know, to
100%.
believe that.
Well, it's kind of like being submerged in dirty water, right? Like if you're,
You
even
can
if you're
imagine that.
only a little shallow and you open your eyes, there you can't see out. But if you just stand up, then you'd be in the clear air and you could see. So, and the deeper you go, the harder it is to imagine how far it is to be able to see.
That's
so.
a funny thing to think about, though. I've
You should
never
write
thought about
that down too.
Write that down. What
that
should
one
I
down,
write
too.
down? Submerged in dirty water? I would
Just-
never.
just stand up,
I would
baby.
never have thought of that image in my life. Would you have thought of that?
That's a good image, actually.
Sure.
I mean, I try to subscribe to the "this too shall pass"
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
mentality. Because I mean, you stand up, but you're still covered in a bunch of filmy shit.
Yeah.
How can you even imagine yourself submerged in dirty water? You can't breathe.
Well, that's another sensation, right? I mean, that's all a metaphor. It's
But-
like sometimes you feel like you can't breathe, or you
Well,
feel
you
like you
do.
can't see.
But I would never have thought of that. I guess that's more of a visual.
Right.
I
So
never thought of
like,
myself submerged in filthy
You live in
water.
New Orleans and you don't think about dirty water? Come on, man.
Not submerged in it, no. Would you have thought of that?
yeah,
Things
we're
are
like
really bad. If you would
and-
describe how bad something was.
we're in this bowl. Like
We're supposed to be underwater right now.
Yeah,
We're
made-
supposed to
not,
be.
We're
right?
amphibious.
If it wasn't
Isn't
for
that
the
great?
levees. If it wasn't for the levees, would we all be underwater right now?
Oh man,
Nobody knows the
I
answer
grew
to
up
that.
on 1836 Fillmore Avenue, so that is about a block and a half from the London Avenue Canal Breach. You can see the memorial from the lot that used to be my house. And the way I feel about the levees, I know a lot of people have their opinions about.
Come
you
on,
know,
throw
where
it
they.
out here.
I don't know what happened. I think that is very strategic. They made
You've got
sure.
some sort of conspiracy theory?
I don't know. I find it very, very interesting that certain areas were great and certain areas were not.
Well, isn't that explained by topography?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then that would be the end of that.
I don't think that's the end of it at all.
Really?
I think there are a
You think
lot.
somebody intentionally flooded New Orleans East, the Ninth Ward?
I think it's more reasonable to think that that is a possibility when you think of the economic impact of certain other areas of the city going underwater and realizing, okay, for the greater good of everyone in this area, what are the areas that need to survive? And then making a decision from
But
that.
back when the levees were built, wasn't New Orleans East was a high end area. That was back in when I was a kid, back in the late 70s, early 80s. That was a high end neighborhood. That was an expensive neighborhood.
100%.
So it's not so. I guess to sort of, I don't want to call it debunk, but to debunk that theory, why would they take a high end neighborhood and put a shitty levee in it? So that's sort of my, that's my theory on that. But I do believe that they knew that over years and years and years of time with the land erosion, that there's probably no way that it could survive, but we had never been put in that position before. So instead of doing something preventative, all you can do is wait till something happens. That's what I think.
Well, you have to kind of imagine when the levees were put in place in the first place, right?
Right. Was
Because
it
if they hadn't
60s,
been,
70s?
and I think even before that, there were certain land management things going on, weren't necessarily the levees we have now. But if none of that had been done, the water would naturally settle in its own way in certain areas, which would not allow areas to be developed that were developed and became people's homes, and that's why it gets so emotional, right? But like nature's not emotional about it, so
Right.
if it hadn't been, if nature itself hadn't been controlled by us to begin with,
Right.
it wouldn't have busted through what we created.
Well, the very
Yeah.
thought that a concrete wall can hold back nature is insane.
Absolutely.
Which is what we were putting our
Which
faith
is
in.
what we're
putting
doing.
our faith
All
in
of
cement.
us sitting here
Yeah.
right now
Right.
know that. And
Well,
live
Which
here
goes
anyways,
back
you
to
know?
thinking that you don't know thinking an emotion will last, right?
Right.
It's the same.
Nah, it's the same delusion.
It's the same delusion
Yeah.
that what we
That
build
we're
will
all-
last
that
as
Mother
well.
Nature and Father Time, baby. You can't beat either of them.
Isn't there
Exactly.
some
You can't.
theory? Isn't there a theory that Egypt actually became a desolate place because the Nile stopped overflowing its banks? Like I believe I've read
Yeah.
something saying that the Nile
Social
used to,
studies.
every year the Nile would
Wasn't it?
overflow its banks,
Sixth
and
grade.
and what
Why?
would happen
Yeah,
is
right.
Why is geography and where things placed in the world called social studies? That's my question
I don't
to
know.
all of you.
Why is it?
Why is that?
Well, I think social
question.
studies
Social studies
refers
is this
to
table right here.
people
you know?
in the world, right? Not
Right.
just
Right.
geography. Geography is
Right.
just like
Geography
where
is
things
geography,
are.
right.
Yeah.
But why in school, when you're taught social studies from a young age, you're taught it's about geography. It's about where people
Right.
are. They're
I had to learn geography in, I can't remember if it was social studies or Western civilization, but it was an entire semester or entire quarter that they called geography. Okay, our last quarter is going to be nothing but geography, and they broke it down into that little sector. But I've never learned about geography in social studies.
No?
Here's what I want to know. Why don't they present geography as our first courses in travel? They don't do that. They present it like it's this
We just have to learn the capitals of the
globe and there's capitals.
Right.
But if they presented it to students now as like, these are the places you will one day care about seeing when you're an adult.
Well, you could just have the virtual reality goggles and you wouldn't even have to worry about any of that.
That's
Well,
where it's going.
Yeah,
No doubt.
eventually, but nothing will replace like feeling the ocean in Costa Rica or something. You know?
Yeah. Do you like to go to Costa Rica?
I like Costa Rica, yeah. I went for the first time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did you go with? One of these heartbreak type people? One of these guys that broke your heart?
I went with a friend.
How many guys have broken your heart over the last few years that you've painted all these paintings?
I don't know. I guess a handful?
A handful of guys?
Yeah.
How many could you get in there? 5.
5. That's what I was thinking. You know,
5.
5 fingers.
Okay.
You know, I could be wrong though.
Well, it
Do you
depends.
keep choosing the wrong guy? Is that what it is?
No. It's about, well, okay. Part of it is actual life happening, right? Like you fall in love and you spend time with someone and then it doesn't work out and you
Right.
resist that and that's just life. But the other part of it is just being a poet, right? Like you could fall in love with a guy at the bar that you never even met and then he could break your heart when his girlfriend walks in and you've had this whole fantasy in your mind
That you create,
it's
yeah.
only lasted like half of a drink, you know, and then but the disappointment that you might feel when that fantasy is crushed is for a moment equal to any other kind of disappointment that you might feel.
So seeing some guy at a bar and imagining that you're going to marry him and live happily ever after and then finding out that his girlfriend walks in and he wasn't even available or his wife walks in
That could be-
is equal to having an actual relationship with someone who
I agree
really
with her.
breaks your heart?
It's
Really? Okay,
equal,
you guys might be
but
made
it's
for each
all
other.
relevant with time.
Yes.
Because it's not going to hurt as long as
Right.
the person you dated for 5 years. But in that moment, it's the same feeling.
And it
100%.
And it all is relative to your hopes and dreams, right?
Right.
So if you allow yourself to hope and you allow yourself to imagine and dream something, and we're such architects, like we can imagine things that don't exist very vividly.
And this is all over the course of this much drink?
I was just going to say
It could be this much drink, but that's what I mean about the poetry of it. Like that's what being an artist is, right? Is giving yourself over to those moments.
How often do you have these kind of experiences?
Well, as often as I invite them, I suppose.
So you could walk into a bar, like today, like right now, for example. Would this happen to you typically when you walk into a bar? You
Only-
see some. Are you attracted to lots of different guys?
I would say that I perceive energy pretty vividly. Yeah. So
How do you perceive it? What does it look like? It feels like.
it feels like either someone is adding to the human record or they're not, you know?
But how can you see that? How can you feel that from across a bar?
Oh, it's in every little detail.
Really?
Sometimes it's someone's hands or their knuckles or the hat they're wearing or the way they're, I mean, it's like being Sherlock, right? It's like you might notice that a certain pant leg is rolled up and maybe that means they rode their bicycle here.
It
Or,
could be what you order, how you
Absolutely.
interact with the bartender. It could be anything.
But
you know?
everything tells you something about somebody if you're paying attention.
yeah,
Agreed.
The fact that you wore this striped shirt or you
right.
have your hair done a certain way or you chose that color lipstick or whatever it is, if I knew what it meant, I guess it means something. But if I started to pay attention to all that stuff, doesn't that drive you crazy?
Well, yeah, you can't pay attention. You are a filter, though.
You focus
you
on
just
what you
trust
want
your
to
own
focus
filter.
on, too. You
Yeah.
don't focus
Most
on
of
everything.
most of us don't notice anything.
Well,
Don't you
that's why
think?
most of us aren't artists, and
Right.
some people are.
Do you notice that kind of stuff, Jerry?
Absolutely. I notice the way
We're on the
people
same
carry
wavelength.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way people carry themselves, the way they treat other people. I was taught I'd treat the CEO and the garbage man with the same amount of respect. And that is probably the most attractive thing to me in anyone.
You
A
can't
business
tell that from
relationship.
sitting across the bar from
You
someone.
can.
You
because
can.
somebody's got to pick up your plate. Okay, somebody's going to clean up where you're sitting. So are you the person that makes a mess and walks away and doesn't tip? Or are you the type of person that stacks the plates for the waitress and makes sure that they get 20% at minimum? That tells me a lot about a person. A lot.
All right.
I would say that's me.
Right.
You
The
can
guy that
relate.
stacks the plates. and is like-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same here. Same here.
But I'm always somebody who's willing to help. I want to help, and that's my thing. And I'm good at reading people too, but I'm somebody who I deal with a lot of different personalities. Some people are completely unknown, some people are very famous, and I've had to deal with different dynamics, and I treat everybody the same. And that's one of the things that's interesting about what I do, is because there are some people who are straight up like this. I watched you when I was a kid in this movie, and and they get the same. My wife calls it producer mode. When I go into producer mode, everybody's the same.
Do you find that people who are super famous like to be treated the same as everybody else?
I find that they respect you more.
Absolutely.
They absolutely respect you more, and in some ways, they almost fear you because they're not used to being treated like that.
They're caught off guard. Absolutely. Why,
do you meet famous people as well,
I do.
Jerry?
My dad played in the NFL.
Right.
Okay,
what team did he play for?
Denver Broncos and Kansas City Chiefs.
What was his name?
Jerry Reese. I'm the second. And my great aunt's Leah Chase. So when it comes to food, but I used to work at Essence Music Festival. So Usher, Kanye West, you
So
name
you've
it.
met Kanye?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're going to have to tell us about that.
Oh man, you gotta put me on the spot on
Who
that.
doesn't want to know about Kanye?
All right. So the issue that I have with Kanye, one of the most talented human beings on the face of the planet, but we were just talking about respect and how you treat people. There was a lighting issue at the Superdome for Essence Music Festival. He did not like the lighting that his team had sent over, and he wanted to change it the day of. And we said, that's impossible. We cannot do that. This is a stadium of 65,000 people. To reprogram what you want will take us a week. And he did not like that. And, he's the most talented individual I've probably ever met in my life. I will say that in music.
Can you elaborate on that? Out of sheer curiosity, seriously.
It's to see the way his gears turn when he hears something or someone speaks to him, and the way it will spark an idea immediately, and he will go in the studio or on his tour bus or whatever for 2 to 3 hours and come out with a beat or the way his lights are supposed to look, and he couldn't explain it. I don't think, and this is what I respect about Kanye, I respect his creativity. I think Kanye can't communicate, personally. I think his genius, when it comes to art, is unparalleled. But I think where he puts his foot in it sometimes is how he tries to communicate that with some people, and how he is better than everyone else. Just kind of this
arrogance.
show. Yes,
Entitlement.
absolutely.
Arrogance, yeah.
Absolutely.
But if you are better than everyone else, is what you're saying, then what's wrong with that?
It's like some things I'm seeing in the news right now with the guy that plays at UCLA, Lonzo Ball, and his dad LeVar said that he would beat Michael Jordan in his prime. And I'm sorry I'm bringing this back to sports, but that's my thing. And it's like, dude, you just stop talking, man. The way you're trying to communicate and show off to people, it's like, just do it. Zip it and do it.
Let the words speak for itself.
Let the words, the actions, the work speak for itself.
Yep.
You talking about your paintings, it may not be something that certain people don't understand. That's fine. Your work speaks for itself. Let that person interpret it.
Do you
Same with
like
your
talking
music.
about your work, Rebecca? Or do you find it all?
I don't mind talking about my work. I formed the early years of my career. I spent doing art markets in town and art festivals around the country,
I got one on Magazine Street if you're interested.
which is very.
All right, that dog.
yeah.
Yeah, they have an art market there.
We have an art market, absolutely.
Every
And then-
Saturday, is it?
Saturday and Sunday,
Yeah.
and we do. We know the folks over on Frenchman Street as well.
Have you
So-
outgrown that now? You're working for anthropology and so on.
That's right. So
that's a bit easier.
But that's how I sort of cut my teeth, which involves standing in your booth and telling a lot of people about your work. So
that must have
it
been
was
pretty
good
interesting
training.
for someone who's so sensitive to other people's energy.
yeah,
Is that good for sales, or does it just make you exhausted?
it's both. It's really exhausting, but it's also like the best thing there is like to relate to people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think that's
The
a
best thing there is to relate to people.
in the context of what we're talking about. That's what the work is about, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Can you sell a painting or something to someone who didn't want to buy it? I mean,
Yeah.
who are just looking at it and go, oh, it looks nice, but I don't know.
yeah, I
Can
mean
you
that's
sell
where
it?
in the markets, that's where you cut your teeth in that
You
as
can
well.
actually
yeah,
sell
you-
it.
Yeah.
What's the trick? What are you looking for?
Well,
I do this all the time. Do you guys do this? You look at something and you want to buy it, but somehow you just you don't
I'm a
buy
salesman.
it.
I mean,
You can do that too.
At my
Okay.
very, base level, if you want to boil me down to a couple of words, yes, I sell
I
stuff
love
for
you.
a living.
I love you both to explain that to us, Jack. You know this. What is the trick here?
Of sales,
Yeah. How do you actually get someone? How would you talk, say, Jack and I, into?
I would say that the secret is because I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm a salesman too. I have to sell myself, and I have to sell. The trick is to believe in whatever you're selling, and so that because people's bullshit meter is extremely sensitive. So you have to believe in yourself and what you're selling, and that it's the real shit, and that they're really missing out if they don't get it. And you don't even have to say that, because they'll see your passion and whatever it is you're selling, and your excitement is going to sell them, because they're going to feel like they're missing out on something. Like this excitement that he had, that this person has for their work or whatever, I want to own a piece of that, and that means that their heart's in it. It's real DNA inside of it. You know,
That's the secret.
And
that's only part of it.
Are you genuine?
What's the rest?
Or
Okay.
are you not? I mean,
Well, that's what you're saying. That's what Jack's saying. too.
Right.
Well, yeah,
no, I'm interested.
hopefully believing in what you're selling is a given, and that's something that I'm lucky in the sense of, because I believe in
but
the
a lot
work I
of,
make.
but a lot of people don't, because they're self-conscious about their own work.
Yes.
Well, that's true, too.
Or there are people who sell stuff that they
That
don't
they
believe
don't
in,
like, right.
and they might still be good at it, and that is the other side of the spectrum, I think, which is, it's all about the buyer, right? So people inherently are selfish, not selfish, self-centered, and I think self-centered is a good thing. Someone who's considering a purchase, they are considering it for themselves, so they're asking, is this me? Is this going to make my life better? So your job in selling it to them is to point out the ways it would make their life better.
and I think that's true for all of us at this table, with
Is
radio,
this
with
me?
music, with my business, with art. It's
What
the
if-
same thing. What value do I bring to the table to make sure that person's life is going to be enhanced whenever that transaction is over? Because it's something that they were going to have once we part ways. They're still going to have it.
What if you feel like your product wouldn't make that person better?
I wouldn't sell it.
Like, well, no, I'm saying, all right, for instance, and I'll use myself as an example, but I've gotten very big phone calls of people wanting me to do their record, and I actually turned it down because I was like, I'm not the right guy for this. I know what you're looking for, and I'm not, like, it'd be like if somebody wanted you to paint a Jackson Pollock drip painting. That might not be your thing, and you might.
Absolutely. I think that's the difference of maybe service as opposed to sales.
Okay.
Maybe.
But that comes back to that very question you were asking, which is this me?
Right.
That's what you're saying, Jack.
Pretty much. That's
This
what I'm
is not me. This record is great, and I would love to do it, and it's tons of money. It would be a good thing on my resume, but it's not me.
But I would be doing you a disservice to lie to
Right.
you and say that I'm the best person to come to.
But in that
Right.
sense, you're almost the buyer. In the sense that the person who's selling it to you is the one with the idea, who's trying to get you on their record. Right? So you almost trade roles.
That's
and you're
true.
asking yourself, is this me? And
They're trying to sell you.
Yeah, they're selling you. They're saying, come on,
Well, right.
And
That's a good position to be in, though,
yeah.
isn't it? When you're not pitching yourself, but they're pitching you.
yeah.
I mean, I pitch myself sometimes, but for the most part, and I have a weakness of not saying no, but sometimes I do. And in that situation, I would, so
Yeah.
So who are we talking about? Who famous came to you and said, I want you to produce my record? And you said,
I didn't say famous, I said big.
okay, big.
I am not going to say.
Meatloaf. How big are we talking about?
Restraint.
Come on, I'm sure we can guess. It wasn't Kanye, right?
No,
Okay,
it wasn't.
so that- What do you feel passionate about selling hot dogs, really?
This is what I feel passionate about when it comes to selling hot dogs. I started working at Dat Dog when I was at Loyola in college, and it wasn't something that I seeked out. I was like you mentioned, a journalism major, political science minor. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do sports journalism or go to Washington D.C. and cover Capitol Hill, but I found a brand that I love to eat at, and that's why I even
You love hot
started
dogs.
getting a job there. Well, my grandpa was an army medic, and he spent a lot of time in Germany. So when I was growing up, we ate a lot of hot dogs and a lot of sausage, and so I got a job there. And
What were you doing, actually? It was a tiny. It was when it was a little tiny.
no, this was when
When it
they
was on
moved
the-
across the
on the
street.
gas station.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was scrubbing floors, grilling dogs. I was doing day-to-day combat, and about 6 months into that, they asked me to come into the corporate office and do sales because of my family history with Miss Leah and because of my personality. And then we started to franchise, and they asked me to be the director of their franchise company.
So you went from
me.
scrubbing floors and putting hot dogs on the grill to being in management, and now you're the vice president of franchise.
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty
Yeah.
old-fashioned American story, isn't it? You don't hear that very often.
And
Hot dogs,
you know,
no
just
less.
started with the International Franchise Association. So they're headquartered in Washington D.C.
International Franchise Association.
Yes, and I met the president and CEO in Las Vegas and told them, you know, straight up in a room. We were at a conference, and I was about one of 10 black people in a room of 2,000. I said, dude, you don't have enough black people in here. And he's like, well, how do I get to black people? And I was like, I will help you, you know. And sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger. So I'll be spending some time in D.C. over the next couple months to educate African Americans and other minorities about franchising and what they can do with their wealth. So I just saw an opportunity.
That's
I
a
got
cool
my foot
thing.
in the door.
Right.
And it's not exactly what I wanted to do from day one. But I love the brand, and I couldn't imagine myself doing right now.
That's a good point. You've taken yourself off the track that you wanted to be on.
Right, I did, and the way I feel about it is, if I'm good at it and I'm confident in myself, I will be able to do that.
Right.
I will be able to leverage the relationships that I have and the experience that I have
Right.
to try something new. And franchising will help us get to different markets quicker. So even if it's not in New Orleans, I don't want to move away, but let's say, you know, I want to go to Washington, D.C. and finally follow my political science thing.
Right.
You know, I'll be able to call
You
my
don't really want to be in
franchisee.
politics now, though, do you?
I don't.
You must have
know,
changed your mind about that,
I
surely.
don't
Now's the
know.
time to be
Are we
in
going
politics.
Do you
there?
think this is an opportunity?
Now's the time
To
to
make
be in
some
politics.
change?
Yeah.
Why now that
Could
it's a
you?
reality show?
Well, yeah, it's you know, this is the time this is the time we need people. You know?
Right. And that's, you know, that was my biggest, not hang up, but when they said they wanted to get on the phone a couple weeks ago and talk about a White House strategy. How do we get in the White House and
How do we get
get
in
our
the White
message
House?
across? And I'm like, how do I get in the White House and have ears open? You know,
What
and have
message?
people actually
What message
listen.
are you trying to deliver onto the White House?
About the franchising industry, it's not just about restaurants. It's more about being in business for yourself, but not by yourself, which is what Dat Dog, you know, as the franchisor group, like, you open a restaurant in Baton Rouge, hey, man, that's your restaurant, but I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. And there are certain people, you know, that are lucky, like myself, after Hurricane Katrina, went to Atlanta, great schooling, you know, great college. Some people don't have that, and they have money that they inherit or whatever, and they don't spend it wisely. And that is not just me speaking about people. I have people in my dad's one of 8, and my mom's one of 4. So I'm talking about my family experience as well, and educating people to know there are things that you can do with your money that you may not know about. I didn't know what franchising was until they said, do you want to start franchising with that? I had no idea.
That's a funny. You're a
so-
fun. Did they? Who was that? Constantine or someone? That,
Yes, Constantine
He just
and
saw
Bill, our
something in
president.
you.
Yeah. He saw a personality and we're also selling a New Orleans brand, and I'm born and raised and grew up in the restaurant industry. And so when I think about, okay, I may not have seeked this opportunity out with school, but I look at what my personality is, what my family history is, and kind of what I grew up. I grew up when I was 13. I did a gumbo competition against Leah Chase, and I won.
Uh-oh.
And
Really? You make a
she's-
better gumbo than Leah Chase? You better be careful.
Don't tell Leah that. But if I walk into her kitchen with you tomorrow, the first thing she'll say is, I love that boy, but that jackass beat me when he was 13. And she hates it. You know? And so,
That was like a gumbo taste-off, like a blind test. People
yeah,
said
it
that
was
your
for
gumbo
a kid's show called Fetch with Rough Ruffman on PBS.
fetch with Rough Ruffman.
I
You guys know that
could
one?
I
not
was
make
on
it up.
some kids show when I was a kid too.
What were
Yeah.
you on?
Funny. I was on some. God, I don't even remember, so long ago now. It was some.
Ruffman.
Fetch with Rough
I'm writing
Ruffman.
that down. I'm Googling that right now.
I kid you not.
I
I'll show
believe
you.
you. What were you doing?
It was some show where we would meet and talk about current events, but it was all
In New Orleans?
Yeah, yeah.
At a bar at Wayfair during happy hour?
It's on TV?
Very
Popeye
New
pals.
Orleans. It was on TV, like Cox 10 or something. I don't
Oh,
even remember.
yes.
Yeah, it was like, kind of like
Ah, it was
public broadcasting
like a
but in a way.
Saturday
Yeah, like a
Saturday
Saturday
morning show.
thing.
I think-
I remember going to that show. I remember giving
We
a
all
talk
had
to those kids.
microphones,
Yes.
and we would, they would say, "What do you think about this?" And well, like 10-year-olds going.
I remember
That's
going to
awesome.
that thing
Yeah.
at Cox something or other and
Yeah,
recording
yeah.
that thing. That was unbelievable because I did it thinking nobody would see. I was talking about being on radio and what's it like to be on radio and talking to these little kids. I thought nobody watched that thing. But apparently there's tons of people with hangovers on Saturday morning who are lying around their house
I
watching
think you're
this.
contributing to that right now. I'm
watching
just
that.
saying.
Well,
all
so
their
there's
parents.
free will. You're allowed to not
Yeah,
drink that rest of that beer if you don't want
man.
to. But what I am going to make happen next, though, is make Jack play a song for us.
Oh,
Because
yes.
you
For
have
sure.
that guitar sitting there.
Definitely. Got
We're
to.
dying to hear what you're going to play. What have you been working on? Because you have a much more serious band.
Well, yeah, I do, but that's actually not what I'm going to play.
What are you going to play?
I do. I'm going to play a little quick 2-minute something or other that I do a lot of music for TV and stuff like that, and I just wrote this little 2-minute bluegrass type tune for a show that Ellen DeGeneres owns. It's a show called Little Funny. It's about like an 11-year-old comic that tours the country and does stand up. So it's sort of like a reality show for that. But so I basically just sort of threw this together. So
Cool.
this is it. So excuse me if I fumble on some of the words. As you can see, I'm not very organized with it. Highways turn to byways, bright and bright. Oh, sorry, I already screwed it up. Here we go. Let's try again. Highways turn to byways, long and winding, bright and free. Never seen a sight like them at all. But it's a little funny that I never saw that writing on the wall. And now I'm on my way to a city that won't bring me down, but sure don't feel like back in my hometown. And yes, I'm on my own, with the sound of laughter all around. I try to keep my feet here on the ground. So we sing Spotlight shining bright at me, silhouettes are staring back. I'm not sure what I'll get from them at all, but it's a little funny those same people make this big world seem so small. And yes, I'm on my way to a city that won't bring me down, but sure don't feel like back in my hometown. Yes, I'm on my own, with the sound of laughter all around. Try to keep my feet here on the ground. So we sing Well, I've seen those great big oceans and those mountains in the sky. So remember to keep the things you love near you and don't forget the reasons why. Ooh, 50 miles still left to go. The sun sets in the west. I got the ones I love most on my mind. But it's a little funny that by going forward I leave them all behind. And we sing and we sing we all sing Thank you.
I could have used that when I moved to Atlanta after Hurricane Katrina when I was 13 and I had my mind on New Orleans. That would have been perfect. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I actually pull a lot from. I spend a lot of time in a tour bus, So
you get homesick.
right.
Yeah.
I get homesick every week, and every week I look out the window and watch the scenery go by and think of those kind of things.
Wow.
So
And what's that song called?
it's called Little Funny,
Little Funny. And what's the show's called? Little Funny?
and it's a pitch song. I actually work out with a corporation out of LA that gets me a lot of TV work, and they said that we think you're perfect for this. Send us 3 or 4 different songs for this show, and so that was one of them, and I sent 2 or 3 others, and so still waiting to hear back on that. But
Right.
He loved it, and he's like, I think this is going to be it. So
All right.
So and if he doesn't, I'll just release it on my own.
That's awesome, man.
That's cool.
I love it.
And can you get that anywhere? It's not recorded anywhere.
Not
yet.
recorded anywhere.
All right.
Nope,
Exclusively here for Happy Hour.
I just wrote it.
You heard it here first, baby.
I just finished the
Love it.
lyrics last night.
Last night.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wait.
So, because I sort of had the idea for the first and second verse, and then I didn't have a bridge or anything. So I was like, let me finish this right now. And so I just finished it last night, and that's why I needed the lyrics.
All right.
That's
Well,
amazing.
you got 3 thumbs up around the table here.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone liked it, yeah.
Thank you.
Rebecca was
Definitely.
dancing.
Yeah.
Do you
Already
play
got it.
music while you paint?
No,
You like it quiet?
I mean, oh no, I don't play music. But do I?
No, I don't mean play, no, I mean listen to. I'm
yes,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You do?
absolutely. Most of the time, yeah.
No, my dogs just bark. There's no music. I love music, but my dog. Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to sing.
They try to communicate with me.
We have
for
to get
sure.
the hell out of here.
Ooh.
Right? We're good. We've got 1 minute. How long have we got, Thomas? We're good for a minute? Okay. What have I forgotten? Was I supposed to cover anything, Jerry?
No, I think
Where's
we did
the
great.
next Dat Dog opening up? Do we know that?
Knock on wood, very close to New Orleans is as far as I'm going to go with that. Until it's signed,
okay.
sealed, delivered,
Okay,
and then
can't
I'll come
say.
back on and tell you.
So if I want to open a Dat Dog franchise myself and I'm listening to this somewhere around the country, what is it going to cost me to get in?
If you go to datdog.com/franchise, it'll tell you our
Oh, it says, okay.
investment is about, it's about $470,000.
It's about the
but
same as the tree painting.
if you if you go to our website and check out my information and get in touch with me, I will let you know how much money you will make. And
So if
you
I can
will-
get a hold of $470,000, I can have my own Dat Dog franchise.
Or your own tree painting.
on the
Or my own tree painting. Which would I prefer?
That's right.
Well, the tree painting just sits on my wall and appreciates. A Dat Dog, I have to make hot dogs every freaking day.
you can pay people to make hot dogs for
Oh,
you
okay.
though.
I've already
And then
just
you can look
spent
at that bank account.
$470,000.
And see, once you pay that $470K, you can look at the painting every day for free.
Oh, that's good.
Whereas the Dat Dog, you
Yeah.
got to go there every day.
Yeah, I got to make hot dogs. That's what worries me. I'm working every day.
If you go to
How much money can I make out of a hot dog stand?
we can talk off air a little bit.
This is
You push
this
him
is
great, and I
secret-
love it. And
this
I
is secret
respect the
information.
move. I respect it so
I'm just wondering
much.
how much can I be a millionaire? I mean, if I can make, how long is it going to take me to make? How long is it going to take me to make the $470,000
We can
back?
talk after the show. We can talk after the show.
Don't you think I should be able to?
You should have
find
liquored
that
me
out,
up a
Jack?
little bit better for those answers. you know?
Okay. I thought that would be like sort of. I thought that'd be public information.
Oh yeah, that
I bet if I asked a Subway guy, he would tell me.
Datdog. I'm not Subway, baby. Datdog.com/franchise. You'll
All
get
right.
all the information you need.
Datdog.com/franchise, and we can find you. You're it, right? You're the franchise.
Yes, I
You're the
am.
whole department.
Yes, I
so
am.
if I call
I'd
it
love
up, I'm
to
gonna-
love to meet you. Come get a dog. Come do a show at Dat Dog.
Yeah, that's more of an
On the
idea. That's
patio.
something we could actually achieve.
Let's do some draft beer. You know, I'll bring out a sampler for everybody, and we'll have a great
can
same
have some
crew,
dogs.
different crew. You know,
Not a bad idea at all, is it?
absolutely.
What do you
Let's
think?
do
Not a
it.
bad
Okay,
idea.
all right.
I'm in.
All right, we'll get the same gang. We'll go back. We'll go to
be
Dat Dog
great.
next.
Maybe
Whichever
he'll write
one
a
you
song
want.
about hot dogs.
We can do it on the
I probably
balcony.
could.
You could, yeah.
Balcony on Frenchman Street. You guys let me know, and
Do you
we'll
think we
make
could
it
get
a date.
another 60 minutes of conversation out of this group of people?
I think we'll.
we got plenty to talk about, Jack.
We're already over.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What do we start off the next conversation with? What didn't we talk about you that we need to know about next? Look at all these things you've done or doing. It's crazy. Look how many there are.
I'll give you my recipe for fried spinach when I come back.
Fried spinach. Okay, we've got that
Right
to look
on.
forward to. Rebecca, what can we talk about to you next time we come back?
I guess we didn't talk about anthropology, really.
We didn't talk about anthropology
Yeah,
at all.
that's everybody's favorite thing.
Not anthropology, the
Not the
study of school,
people,
but the anthropology,
the
the
store.
company.
Yes,
That
the
is a
company.
fascinating subject about how you got into that, I would imagine.
It is, yeah.
Are you wealthy out of that? Seeing we have,
I wouldn't call the word wealthy, but
you can make a good
very
living out of
blessed, very blessed.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So every time
Enriched.
they sell one of your you have plates with your designs on it and shower curtains.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff?
take my artwork and put it on dishes, bedding, wallpaper, curtains, rugs,
So people
puzzles.
can go to sleep on sheets with your
That's right.
design on it.
Yeah.
And
Where can we see your art again?
Well, my website, RebeccaRebichet.com, and then anthropology stores around the world.
we have links to all this stuff on our website. It's neworleans.com if you listen to this
Excellent.
and you're at the gym or you're on the way home. Check it out. It's at itsneworleans.com. Hey, you guys, we're out of here. Thank you very
All right.
much. That was Rebecca Rebouchet, spelled Rebouche acute. Is that right?
Accent aigu.
Oh, that's how you say that.
Dig.
Wow, I can't even say that. That would be too embarrassing. Say it again.
Accent aigu.
Oh, that's
X
nice.
on to you.
That's excellent to you. Rebecca Rebouchet,
Excellent.
yes.
Excellent.
Jack Neely, thank you for joining us.
Thank
as
you
well.
for having me.
And of course the fabulous Kareem
Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar, look-alike, Jerry Reese II.
Jerry.
Let's do it again, guys. I love
Okay, we'll see you back at
That
Dog
dog.
next time.
Thanks for
It's a
having
date,
us.
baby. Let's do
Hey,
it.
thanks for joining us. Our show is brought to us today by Basics Swim and Gym. We can get a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout, yoga clothes with style, including bikinis, one-piece cover-ups, and more. Basics Swim and Gym is on Magazine Street next to Basics underneath the lingerie store. Thanks to Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to hddestroyer.com
Need that
and
after
write
that
Happy
dog.
Hour. Check it out. Write Happy Hour on the coupon code. Get 30% off of your first order of Hangover Destroyer. And you too can seize the dawn. Thanks to Graham DePonte, our producer, Christian Unruh, our music director, Jean Valois, our music producer, and Thomas Walsh, our technical director, our live feed directors who are putting this on Facebook Live, where you can go watch the video of this if you'd like. Our Asher Griffith and Grayson Jernigan, our theme music was written by and is being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com, where you can find tons of other shows, including many hours of happy hour to listen to, as well as Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, True to the Game with Chris True, and tons of other shows we make here at INO Broadcasting. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and it's batonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook page. Those photos are taken today by Alison Moon. Happy birthday, Alison. It's Alison's birthday.